so the media in this country never ceases to amaze me, the level of BS they can make up. All right, so they're trying to take pretty much every time in this country now that a white man shoots an African-American teenager and try to compare it to the Zimmerman trial. So I saw an article today and it said, this guy, could it be the next Zimmerman trial? And here's the case. 76-year-old man thinks his 13-year-old African-American neighbor broke into his house and stole like $3,000 in shotguns from him, okay? He's gone to the police. He's gone to local politicians. He's complained to every single person he knows, but they all know that he's a crazy old man and has dementia and the kid didn't do it. So he decides to take matters into his own hand. The kid goes out to take the garbage out. He confronts him in the alleyway, says, I want my stuff back. The kid said, I didn't take it. A mom comes out and says, son, you need to go inside while I talk to the neighbor. And the neighbor pulls out the gun and shoots the kid in the chest and kills him. 13-year-old boy dead, boom. All right, and they're saying, well, this is just like the Zimmerman trial. You know, it's just like it, except for the fact that it's first-degree murder, homicide, when there's no self-defense involved. There's no actual property, there's no actual crime, there's nobody assaulting anyone. None of the facts of the case match except for two things. One of them was white, the one who got shot was black. That's it. The shooter was white and the dead kid was black. Okay? That's the only two things about the case that match. None of the other details match in the case. In fact, what that 76-year-old man did is called first-degree murder. You cannot kill someone over property after the fact. Even if the kid had stolen the guns, you still can't kill him after the fact over property. It's just not, it's illegal, flat out. Somebody steals my crap, I tell the cops have to go get it back. I can't go and shoot people over it, okay? So I'm gonna call this scenario pulling a Zimmerman. If you're white and shoot an African-American person, you pulled a Zimmerman. All right, let's go over a few pulling the Zimmermans that happen on a regular basis. I come out of the store. There's an African-American who comes up to me. He pulls out a knife and says, give me your wallet, and I shoot him. I pulled a Zimmerman. Ha ha. Okay. There's an African-American male outside my house playing basketball across the street at his house. I go out and say, hey, you're making too much noise, put the basketball up. And he goes, no, screw you, dude. And I shoot him. Ha ha. I pulled a Zimmerman. Okay. It's just ridiculous. You cannot take a trial like the Zimmerman case that was very, very abnormal in that sense, because not that it was a person using self-defense, but because it was a person who shouldn't have even put himself in that situation, then having to use self-defense. Okay, I think that they would have had a much stronger case if they argued a different way. If they said that Trayvon Martin tried multiple times to avoid a Caucasian male chasing him, and once he figured out that he was near home and was still being followed, instead of leading him to the house where he was going, he stopped to confront the man so that the guy wouldn't figure out where he lived, and was afraid this person was some type of a pedophile and rapist. At which point, Trayvon Martin defending himself is perfectly legal, okay? But again, they didn't argue it that way. They tried to get Zimmerman to say, oh, he's a racist and blah, blah, blah. No, Zimmerman might be slightly racist, but he is an idiot, period. He went to try to act like a cop. The guy who was being chased knew he wasn't a cop. They both butted heads, argued, a fight broke out, and then Trayvon was winning. He was on top, beating him up, but he was perfectly justified in defending himself. And Zimmerman shot him because he's like, oh, I was being beaten to death. So again, I think Zimmerman, in a sense, is not fully guilty. Like if you had to place blame, it'd be like 40% Zimmerman being an idiot, 60% on Trayvon being stupid and starting the fight. So they're both at fault. But you can't compare that situation to every white on black shooting in this country. You can't say it's just like Zimmerman, because that's ridiculous. There's self-defense and there's first-degree murder. I go out and say, you stole my stuff, you say you didn't, and I shoot you, first-degree murder. Let's take it the other way. Let's say that this 76-year-old man had this 13-year-old on top of him, and he was getting the crap beat out of him because the 13-year-old didn't like the neighbor, who's the old grumpy old man, and just said he was going to beat the tar out of the guy. And the old man's like, oh my God, I'm 76, I'm being beaten, I'm about to die. And he reaches and pulls a gun and shoots the kid. That's self-defense, but not if the 76-year-old man pick the fight. So again, a lot of people don't understand. If you go and start a fight and pick a fight with someone, you can't use self-defense at that point and shoot them with a gun, okay? Because you picked a fight with them. That's the way the law pretty much works. But there has to be witnesses enough to say that's what happened. But again, I think they could have gotten Zimmerman on a much different type of charge. They went after it the wrong way. It's kind of like they went for too much when they knew they shouldn't have. They're like, you know, we really should go for this because we can nail them to the wall on this one. But the media is not going to be happy if we do a trial like that. So we have to go for second-degree murder. What they should have done is gone after some type of charge that said Zimmerman's actions, which he should not have done, ended up leading to the death of the other person. Okay? Thus putting Zimmerman at fault for a wrongful death. So second-degree murder is a lot harder to get than wrongful death because there's reasonable doubt. But if they had said, his getting out of the car, refusing to listen to the 911 operator, led to the situation he put himself in that he should not have, led to the death of this teenager, all they had to do is prove that section, not what was happening with the teenager. They just had to prove that Zimmerman shouldn't have gone and done that. Instead, they argued about the fight itself, not what led up to the fight, really. So again, they're idiots and they let the politicians and the media force their hand into something they shouldn't have tried. So anyway, the long and the short of it is that if anyone who's white shoots an African-American person, even if it's legal and perfectly with the law, you pulled a Zimmerman. And if it's illegal and you murdered them, it's still pulling a Zimmerman because you're white and they're black. It's pulling a Zimmerman. And it's got everything to do with race in the media trying to stir up a crap storm. So anyway, it makes me sick and it's retarded, but anyway, be careful, defend yourself, make sure you're legally right. Don't pull a Zimmerman and don't get on the news.
Meep, meep.